Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another baseball adjacent video. I guess this is like an emergency podcast episode, but it's not really an emergency. We just thought we'd talk about it. Framber Valdez is in the news, but before we talk about that, like and subscribe. The guy next to me on the left, his name's Justin. He is America's pitching coach. He is the co host of our baseball adjacent show, which we have full episodes of. You can go on the channel. But that's enough self promotion. Let's talk about what the video is about. Framber Valdez. I'm going to show clips while I'm talking about it. It's overlaid. But Framber Valdez crossed up his catcher a little bit. And all of this starts in the fifth inning. Trent Grisham is hitting his catcher. Salazar is behind the plate trying to wave him off, and Valdez decides not to be waved off and throws the pitch anyway. Kind of dick shots a fastball at Trent Grisham, and 4 runs later, it's a grand slam into the Crawford boxes. Valdez obviously not thrilled, as you wouldn't be. The next hitter is Anthony Volpe, I believe on a 1-0 count in that at bat. Salazar wears a sinker off the chest. You kind of look at the body language from Valdez. It doesn't look like he's immediately sorry. That's not like the body language of somebody that feels super bad about doing that. But that's where we're at. So the question that the baseball internet is asking that I thought we'd jump on today is, I guess first and foremost, do you think this is in any way intentional?
Yeah, if it's my take on this, it looks absolutely intentional, and how can it not be? The biggest key, I think, to see if this really was intentional was his reaction whenever he quote unquote crossed up his catcher with the pitch that obviously Frank or got or that hit Caesar Salazar on the chest plate when he wasn't really expecting it, the cross up that we're all kind of talking about. If you truly cross up your catcher, you're going to kind of be more like, oh, hold on, like, hey, let's get this right. Like, I threw the wrong pitch, whatever. Like, you would feel more remorseful. Your body language in particular would be more remorseful and trying to get that back on the same page. Whenever he flips around and kind of gives that kind of look you could see in his face, like, hey, screw you, like, it shows that there was a lot more going on. And yeah, you go back to a couple pitches earlier, the one that he gave up the grand slam on. There was a miscommunication. Salazar is like throwing his hands up, saying, "Hey, hold on, hold on, hold on. Go ahead, take a step off. Like, take time. We got this. Let's get on the same page. Let's go." And Framber's like, "Screw that. I'm throwing my pitch." And then obviously it's right down the heart of the plate. It's I mean, Trent Grisham, Richland High School's finest, takes it for a grand slam. Always hate when that happens. But yeah, it was one that you can't blame Salazar for, but Framber's trying to, and I think it's 100% intentional. And there's a lot of stuff that we're not seeing behind closed doors. That yeah, Salazar's not caught a lot of games for the Astros. What'd you say? I think we talked about this earlier. 11 games or something he's played this year, so he's almost to his 12-game quota per the year is what he's done in big leagues past. There's got to be more going on behind the scenes, because this isn't something that just happens on the diamond with a one pitch and then you try to get retaliation the next pitch. Like there has to be something else going on, but it's 100% intentional from Framber Valdez, and I think Caesar Salazar is actually taking the high road here, trying to not blame Framber. And I think for a young guy, he's doing an amazing job with how he's kind of responding to all this.
Yeah, I will say the body language from Framber, whether or not it was intentional, he didn't look sorry that it happened. I will say that. I think it's hard to know intent 100%, but I do think after the fact, the immediate turnaround and just stare into center field, like he looks pissed, as you would be if you just allowed a grand slam, to be fair. But that was not the reaction of like, oh, I just blew up my catcher, my bad. Let me make sure that doesn't happen again. Uh,
That's the thing too. I'll take some viewers, I guess, into the world of like what we do with the mental emotional stuff at National Pitching Association. We talk about ways to flush the bad, reframing good or reframing for positive outcomes. That was 2 pitches prior that you gave up the grand slam. You've already thrown another ball. And yeah, I get it that you're frustrated you gave up the grand slam, you threw the ball the very next pitch, but at some point you got to reframe for a positive outcome and you have to move on and go to the next sequence. You go and move on to the next batter. So the fact that like some people are going to want to say, okay, he's still pissed that he gave up the grand slam. This is 2 pitches later at this point. So this feels like premeditated. It feels like, hey, like I'm pissed off at this guy and I'm blaming him for this, so I'm going to make him wear it here to show my disgust at him. Like that to me, for someone who's stepped on that mound or has worked with people that do step on that mound and go to battle like that, you know where intent is. And guys, if you're going to cross up your catcher like that, you're going to be a lot more remorseful, and your initial knee-jerk reaction is not going to be what Framber's was.
For sure. I'll play. There's more to this. I kind of want to get into the interviews after the fact. I'll play devil's advocate for Framber for a second, just so it's not a dog pile. I don't know what the mechanics of Salazar and Framber calling pitches are. I do know sometimes catchers are calling, sometimes pitchers are calling on their belt or on the back of their glove or whatever, and sometimes it's a combo of both.
Yep.
I have to imagine if it's a combo of both, and I don't know if this is true for Framber and Salazar, how that was working last night. I have to imagine if it's a combo of both, there are times where that gets kind of confusing. If you both call pitches and, he shakes at when you press a button, but he pressed a button to a different pitch at the same time, I could see a world where that is confusing or
And
could
he is a
potentially
younger
get confusing.
and he is a younger catcher with what, 30 something big league games under his belt over
Mhm.
3 years. So again, there is more room for misunderstanding there. So yeah, there is a chance.
There's
And you
the,
still have pitch clock. So you got
yeah,
to do all this in 15, 20 seconds.
There is the devil's advocate. If you're pro Framber, I think that would be the argument you would make, or maybe that's what they're saying. That is not what they said, though. They said it was loud in the stadium. Salazar kind of like accidentally dunked on Astros fans, which is not always something you want to do as an Astros catcher, because he just came out and
Yeah.
basically was like, "Yeah, I mean, there was kind of a
Alec
lot of
Baum,
Yankee
though.
fans in the building."
It's not as
So
bad as what Alec Baum did, though. Like, he's fine.
yeah, I mean it's fine, but it was kind of funny the way I took it as like, yeah, there's a lot of maybe if there was more Astros fans, we wouldn't have this problem. Is kind of how I
But
read this.
yeah, but it's also because I saw Eric Sim King of JUCO description of this or breakdown of this before we hopped on here. According to him, I'm not gonna 100% quote Eric Sim here, but I guess I am. He said it's the least amount of or the least attended Houston Astros game in the last like 10, 20 days. And it was like 33,000 people, which again through this whole series was the least attended. So it's like, okay, if you didn't have this trouble the game or two before, why are you having the trouble now when it's the least amount of people in that stadium? I almost called it's Daikin Park now, right? Not Minute
Yeah.
Maid. So it's like the least amount of people in Daikin Park that they've had in a while, and one of the least that they've had all season. And now it's an issue. Now, again, this isn't to even dunk on Cesar Salazar, because again, I think him taking the high road and blaming just a pitch call, like the pitch com stuff, and it was just miscommunication, and the Yankees fans being in Daikin Park and just trying to go about it that way. I give the young guy props. Like, I think he's going about it the right way. You don't want to piss someone like Framber off even more than he already probably is pissed off at you. So I think he's doing a really good job at going about it. But yeah, I think there's some bullet holes in the alibi here.
Yeah, the manager of the Astros came out today. He said he had a conversation with both of them at the same time to see what happened. He didn't get too deep into it, as you probably shouldn't as a manager. I don't think you have that conversation with players and then immediately turn
Public
around
with
and
it.
go to the press and be
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, you know, they said Framber's a dick." Like I don't think you're ever gonna say that about your any of your players publicly unless you're
Yeah,
trying to trade
especially a
them.
guy that's about to be an impending free agent too.
Well, and so I guess that's where we'll go next. It's not intentional or not. It's not a great look for Framber, and he has had other incidents. I recall him calling out the outfield for being in a shift at some point in his career. He's kind of like he's kind of a wild card a little bit. I
Yeah.
wonder, not that that's a bad thing, because there have been other wild cards in Major League history that have fared pretty well. But it is worth asking, I think, because he is an impending free agent. Does this even semi affect the teams that would look at him money wise? Like, is this like if you're a team that's super hardcore on the culture thing, is this like a maybe we're not as in on him type of deal?
Yeah, I'll speak for the Atlanta Braves because obviously that's the team that I follow day in, day out, and we are one of those kind of culture teams. Like we want to find guys that fit the culture of the Atlanta Braves or whatever culture I guess we have right now. I kid. We do have a culture, but I would say Framber Valdez would be someone who I'd want the Braves to go after in the offseason to get an extra lefty in this rotation and an impact lefty at that. And maybe that's just me seeing the Braves in an MLB The Show video game always get Framber in the first offseason of these offseason franchise videos and stuff that I see on YouTube or whatever. But either way, like I do think the Atlanta Braves would be a team that would be out on this because Framber wouldn't fit the culture at all. And I know there would be other teams that do so as well. But I still feel like there would be more suitors for Framber Valdez because at the end of the day, the pitcher is the one guy on the bump. He is the madman. And if he is that, that is okay as long as he's getting outs, as long as he's getting successful as long as he's getting successful innings or he's putting up good numbers and getting results. If you're doing that, nobody cares if you're a dick on or off the field. Like as long as you're getting results. But when you're not, then that becomes the issue.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think it'll cost him. I don't think he like. I think any team that was going to offer him, call it 7 years,
Is still gonna
6
offer, yeah.
years, they'll still offer him. I don't think it's like going to financially devastate Framber. I think some people will maybe try to say that it will, but I don't see a world that when push comes to shove, people are going to forget about that and look at the numbers and be like, this is one of the best pitchers on the market.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, again, I will still err on the side of I feel like there would be a couple teams, but the teams that would bow out were the teams that would probably bow out anyway if it got too expensive. And so they'll just use that as their reason to bow out, to say, hey, he's not a good character guy, whatever. But at the end of the day, if a guy can get outs and you can afford him, you're going to throw an offer at him to try to get him there. And Framber would really help a lot of these organizations' rotations, whether he's the number one, number two, or number three somewhere. So there's going to be plenty of suitors, and this is something that I think organizations feel like they can talk to him about if he gets into a new organization. It's like the Rafael Devers thing. Like Rafi was supposedly a cancer in Boston, and now he's like the joyous, happy-go-lucky son in San Francisco. Going into a new environment can really work some of that out of you. And maybe there's some personal growth that needs to happen this offseason. Not saying that he really does, but yeah, either way, like this is something that an organization feels like they could probably coach out of you with the right culture. So I don't think it's going to affect anything, but it is obviously a big talking point because of what's going on right now. And I don't think it's too great to cross up your catcher and try to show up your catcher like that.
For sure. So final takes, I guess. The final takeaway, the baseball adjacent takeaway from this. Likely intentional, and if not intentional, not super sorry. Uh doesn't really affect free agency going into next off season. Some team is going to turn into this 26-year-old white chick that's like, I can fix him. And then we're all good, and then we'll forget about it next year. But like and subscribe, I guess, if you made it to the end of the video. Let us know what you think about the whole Framber Valdez thing. Was it intentional? Was it not? Is Danny Salazar? Is the
Caesar.
catcher just hard
Caesar
of
salad.
hearing? Caesar Salad. Is Caesar Salazar just hard of hearing? Let us know all your takes down in the comments. And we'll catch you all next week for another episode, a longer episode of Baseball Adjacent.
Framber Valdez, Cy Young incoming next year. You heard it here first.